This pen I did for a teacher that works with my daughter-in-law, who's also a teacher, and I thought the color was really nice. It's a rosy type of color, so I used a copper on the pen blank or on the pen kit itself, which is a Wall Street click pen. Pretty straightforward on the pen. There's a sleeve on the front where the nib screws into, and then the top presses in. There's only one tube, so you could probably make a couple out of them with the blank. So we get the blank set up, get it measured, get it marked, get it ready to take over to the drill press, get it cut, just nice smooth cut on the drill press. It's really a nice blank. I can always tell on the blanks when I cut it like this, and especially on the drill press, if it's going to be easy to turn or not. You can see that this doesn't come out powdery at all. It comes out in flakes and then some ribbons, and it fills the bit up nicely. So it was very easy to drill all the way through. Again, you can see it filled the drill bit up. So we get it over and roughed up the tube to get it glued into the blank, make sure it fit. I've actually had a couple of them that didn't. It's better to find out before you glue it than as you're gluing it. Again, I use the scale, a gram scale, to measure the epoxy. I always want to give myself the best chance of success, and the best chance of success is to measure it exactly. So we get it on the punch and get it loaded up with the epoxy. I like the epoxy better than the CA. I think it fills up voids in anything that comes out a little wacky in there, to where the CA is more of a brittle and a much thinner. So the cup itself, I leave the popsicle stick in, and as it starts to harden, it'll eventually get extremely hot to where you just can't handle it with your hand. So I wait until at least it gets cooled down to where it's cool to the touch. The popsicle stick sticks in it, you can't get it out. Usually I'll wait till the next day, like we did here, before I turn it. And I'll put it over to the side and then work on something else. Again, giving myself the best chance of success. Leaving it overnight, it just, it's hot here in Texas too, so it may take a little more time to set up. So you can see it's getting really yellow, and we're done. So then the next day we put it on the sander and start getting it down to the tube. We want the blank to be square with the tube. I find that the sander's the best way to do it. I've had the drill attachments on the bore, but I've had that thing chip out every now and then too, which may be a little more indication of the blank than it is the bore tool. But here we get it mounted up in the lathe, and you'll see me kind of make sure it's squared with a carbide tool. But I use a roughing gouge to get it down round. Make sure that we're about the halfway point. And you'll see what I mean about a good blank. This blank is really easy to work with. Comes off in ribbons. There's very little powdery. It's usually the stuff that's coming off the ribbons. There's no chipping whatsoever. is very easy to work and get down. You can see it's very smooth, a lot of long ribbons coming off of it. It was very, very, very easy to work with, and it came out even better sanding and polishing it. And now I switched to the carbide tip. It's a carbide tip with a semi-radius on it, and I just work it down. I usually try to leave my pins a little larger in the middle, but this one I wanted a little smaller, a little thinner than what I normally would make it. And so I'm just working the ends down to the bushing, and then make sure the middle is smoothed out, which doesn't take much with this blank. Very easy to work with. I don't know who made the blank. I can't remember where I bought it from, but it was I can't say enough about this blank. Love to have more of them. But then I started sanding it. I think I started with 400 on it real quick, just to get the lines out of it. And I use denatured alcohol to clean it off, make sure there's no dust on it or grit. And then I use 600 grit on it. And again, I'm using my fingertips in a circular motion to try to get it as even as possible. And again, denatured alcohol. And then I put a cover over the lathe, get out the micromesh that's been soaking in water, and I start in with that, and again using the fingertips in a circular motion, and then wiping it off, and then making sure that get it horizontal also to take out any lines that would be there, and then just working my way through the micro mesh. Again, wipe it off, make sure it's clean, and then do a horizontal sandpaper on it, and then get it done. You can see the blank is coming out very nicely. And then polishing it. It didn't take much for it to come out and really shine. Yeah, I think I put like 3 coats of polish on it real quick, and a little friction polish, and make sure blank was ready to go at that point. So we take it off and start putting it together. Went together very easily. Again, it was pretty straightforward on the kit. The nib on the bottom, which went into a sleeve, was pressed in first, and it was on the nib, so took it off the nib, put it on the end that I wanted it put on, and then just square it up into the press, and just push it in, make sure it's all the way seated. And then the next one to put in would be the end for the push. I made a hole that was a little bit larger than the push on the pin, but yet kept the pressure on the outer sleeve. And I put a piece of painter's tape on the clip to make sure that when I pressed it in, it didn't scratch the blank itself. And I'm just kind of lining it up, seeing where I want to put it on the blank, and just square it up, help a little bit, and then put it in the holder, and then square it up, make sure it's squared, and then squeeze it right in. And then when I take these click pins out, I make sure that it's very free right there, that I didn't get it pinched or anything. Take the painter's tape off, and then put the refill in. screw the nib on, and then take the end off. There you go. And works great. Turned out very nice. I think she'll be pleased with it. I know I was pleased with the way it came out. Colors were really nice with it. So thanks for stopping by. More videos to come. Appreciate everybody watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell for the notifications, and please keep in touch.